So yeah, you engage onto a target. If that target boots away in the other direction, you collapse back onto where the strength of your team is.
All right, well, bonus time being dipped into here by Gangstars. They've got 2 picks available to them. They need to deal with the Jewel and Lyra combination. We've seen this specific combo be used well, but we've also seen Jewel have a really high win rate too. I mean, it's over less games, but she's one of the winningness as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The weapon-powered Jewel in particular, if you take away the 1 or 2 games that was played on Crystal Jewel, then that win rate becomes even higher. So it's definitely an impactful pick, typically being seen played in the lane. So I'm curious to see if it is going to go on to Best Chuck or if they give this to Von C.
You know, it totally doesn't feel like a Best Chuck hero, though, doesn't it?
That's
like
what I was thinking, but it also doesn't feel like a pick that is great coming out of the jungle.
Best Chuck's a god. He can do whatever he wants.
I'm pretty sure he can, but he's like, he's a god on another level with certain types of heroes, right? All right, Gangstar, I mean, you got 4 seconds right now. It's going to be Finn. Now they got 30 more to work with. With the Finn, okay, well, what does that change here? The Dodgy's probably going lane.
Do it. Say
Look
it.
at the comp. Look at the comp. You know what it is.
I'm looking and I'm thinking Arden into Lyra is a bad idea. I'm looking.
This is the comp.
They're just trolling you. Like, they don't even care if they win. They
are.
just want you to think it's weapon art. No, I'm just they're not. Of course they care if
There's
they win.
no way.
They've only got a couple seconds left.
There's no way you pick it into Lyra.
They're out of time.
There's no way they pick anything if they do that.
1.5 half.
One
Second.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll get an update from the admins about what is going on in the background. Let's speculate realistic options for what the 3rd pick is likely to have been.
Can't get out drafted if you don't finish the draft.
Oh!
I think they tried to lock in the weapon Arden, and the draft clan was like, that's just too powerful of a comp.
Yeah.
I can't let it happen.
Doesn't make sense. Overload. System failure.
I feel like they probably picked something like Samuel.
No.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Like, Samuel doesn't have to fight in the Bright Bulwark, so you're
With
not
an Adagio.
worrying. Just purely because it's like Xenotech, man. It's
I
super
do-
good hero for him.
I mean,
If anything, it'd be Kestrel, I think.
Kestrel's banned, so no.
She is banned. That's an excellent point.
that's a very good point.
I would have said Kestrel if she was open.
They're
Okay, Blackfeather was the pick, and they did pick it in time. That's what I'm hearing.
It just didn't show properly.
Yeah. Blackfeather probably makes just as much, if not more sense.
interesting. But most likely we see the Adagio in the lane,
I would assume so.
which a lot of other teams would flip that around.
Blackfeather with Finn in the jungle does seem dangerous.
I mean, you got that lore matchup. You get a little bit of bonus because they work together in the lore.
So on Team SoloMid side, what are we going to round out with?
A fortress.
Okay.
Okay.
Classic.
Thank you, Flash, for answering my question.
Okay. All right, so Von C Fortress?
Yeah, or
I would prefer to see Weapon Jewel in, even though it's in the jungle. Weapon Jewel on Von C, Lyra on the on Best Chuck in the lane, and then Flash X on the Fortress. But I don't think that's what they're gonna do. I think they're gonna stick to the meta.
Cool.
or Captain Fortress.
Why not just
With-
Captain Jewel?
Exactly.
I mean, why
You
not?
get enough cooldown reduction, that stun is dirty.
What up? Yes or no? If it's no, we engage. If it's up, then we disengage. Like that's what it seems to be every time we see a Lyra.
The Lyra's been a very commanding pick today. Like, almost every game we see a Lyra, she comes out huge. Rekt was definitely doing work on her earlier on. Now Flash X is going to have his shot at just kind of the controlling playstyle of all this. And Von C, I'm just taking a quick look at some of these items out there. Everything so far pretty much expected, but Von C starts off with a banner. His clear time is so much faster right now than Xenotech.
Definitely going to help him out for sure. Definitely be a bit more presence in the lane as well, obviously. Bonsi has just been such a driving force on the Koshka that, you know, I'm surprised to see him not on like a really high damaging early game jungler at the moment. Like, you could obviously see attacker or something along those lines, and actually just sticking to this fortress, which will be a bit of a slow ramp up.
the Rona would have been really right up Vonsi there as well. But, you know, these guys are the top of the top. They're the creme de la creme. Hopefully, we'll see a little bit more towards the transition. Like, once we get this jungle intensified, Vonsi is going to spend out a little bit more of his cash. He's going to be looking for that aftershock. All of TSM coming down for the extra cash.
They are indeed, and that will be taken, and it goes straight up to Xenotech. In fact, they're just going to engage on this one. Flash X does not have the Bright Bulwark available, so as go time for Gangstars, but TSM aren't going to be able to handily engage. That Root almost coming out and locking up Xenotech there. Best check and Ace in a little bit of trouble, same with Von C. A lot of damage going forwards, but that's going to be it. However, they're re-engaged from TSM, and then them backing straight off as Von C almost goes down. TSM can work around the Bright Bulwark, which is just to come off cooldown as well. Best check and A is going to back off here as Gankstars, they're just poking at each other. I don't know why I'm getting like half excited, but Gankstars are just going to steal a little bit away of TSM jungle, and I think that's going to be it.
Well, if you're this deep in, you might as well go for those last hits for sure. TSM only have the 2 on the front. They don't keep that Treant right there either. Best Chuck, I mean, he might be going into some of that weapon, but the mobility factor is way higher for TSM right now.
Yeah, they really are. Bright Bulwark available. Xenotech is on Best Chuck and A. They're trading up a lot of damage here. The sustain coming out from Gangstars, though, is all too apparent. Same with TSM, in fact, obviously, with that Lyra pick, but that is going to be the end of that. No real advantages taken. I mean, really, Gangstars stole away a couple of camps at max, but that was about it.
It's almost like we were watching a very slow speed card chase. Rek just is not known on a hero as Finn for kind of being that guy to get in and out, look for those invades. He's very slow, calm, calculated, lumbering kind of beast. But just going all the way through, yeah, picking up the jungle, it's going to be just trying to put Von C behind the 8 ball a little bit. And so far, I mean, I'd say it's working. He's at 21 of the last hit. Xenotech sitting at 31. He hasn't come to lane at all. So that's pure jungle.
Doing really well for himself, for sure. Xenotech, yeah, like you said, taking out 31. Pretty nice.
Nearly got the last hit on that one.
Yeah, I was about to say, he almost found it, but it's all good. Got there. Xenotech just trading up a little bit of that gold, though. Goes for the Storm Crown, obviously, like we imagined it would be. His clear time is going to be pretty spectacular at this point in the game, and Fountains, obviously, coming out across the board.
Yeah, the big thing as well is the cooldown reduction that it affords. I mean, Von C is going to be very mobile. He's going to get some pretty significant clear again and again and again. And he has to make up because, again, Xeno with the steals has actually worked out pretty well for him. Now, Araki's are on this Adagio. He's not going to be scaling up the healing part of his kit nearly as quickly since he is going into Crystal, less health-based like you would see on a Captain. But his damage output can be pretty significant here in this matchup. Xenotech, after he picks up this Serpent's Mask, which he has now, I'm curious if we're going to see a Poison Shift.
I mean, would definitely make sense coming up against the Lyra. We've seen it a few times before coming up against Adagios, but Lyra obviously up there in terms of healing. With that, obviously, that will reduce a lot of that. And I can imagine it's something they're going to think about at least, but I'm not entirely sure how early on would you expect to kind of see that. I just don't know.
Well, after the Serpent's Mask, he's already started into the Tier 1 armor. Xenotech is probably going to be going into an Atlas next. I would expect to see it after that. Like, maybe a breaking point if he really wants to get more offensive, but I think an Atlas Pauldron would just pay out way better up against Chuck, because Xenotech's only job here is really just to, you know, stay on top of Chuck.
Yeah, you aren't wrong. And with Chuck obviously going down at the weapon power build as well, he's also going to hit like a truck. Has obviously got that Sorrow Blade available to him. It's a lot of damage, however. Now going to just aggress on TSM now. TSM using that Bright Bulwark, but there's just so much damage coming out from Xenotech now. And Araki Zoro is going to be able to pick up that kill onto Flash X. Forster drags the Sentry towards them. Rek taking a lot of work there, a lot of damage. Verse is going to be used, however, not really going off on any members of TSM, more of a zoning one. And that will be it. First kill and first blood actually going over to Araki Zoro.
And that was just a pretty nice catch. Like, they didn't know that anybody was out there in the item shop. You know, both sides pretty oblivious to it until they stepped out of the shadows. Oh, what a steal attempt,
big red
but
button.
Doesn't quite work. And Flash wasn't level 6. That was a big thing for him. He only has kind of, without that Arcane Passage and him being sort of like on the back line of the retreat, it was a pretty easy pickup for between Xeno and Araki.
It was indeed, and yep, Xeno is doing an absolute ton of damage right now. Obviously, with that Serpent's Mask, doing a fair bit in the front line. And realistically, Flash X didn't stand a chance, like you said, without the passage, but Bright Bulwark was on cooldown as well, and they made the fight work, and they timed it perfectly around that cooldown as well. Something very, very important to keep in mind. TSM just ever so slightly on the back foot now. He's trading that kill, obviously, but no turrets going down just yet, and I'm curious to see Araki Zoro obviously scale up towards the later stages of the game, because those verses are going to hurt, and coming into a forced accord as well, that is definitely not somewhere you want to be.
Now, Flash is into the 2-item support now. Rek, not quite there. He has been spending actually a good amount of time up in lane, just freezing it out. Araki Zoro is getting a pretty big boost to his last hits. He will start overtaking Best Chuck, if only temporarily. But TSM, they're showing strength up here in lane.
Yeah, they really are. Just bringing a lot of pressure on Gangstars right now. Just trying to force Araki Zoro back a little bit. But he's got the healing, obviously, on his side, so it's not going to be too much of an issue for him, taking a little bit of poke damage. TSM, obviously, being up a game as well. It's all on the cards here for Gangstars. They need to be able to pull out this win in order to push it to that best of 3, that full 3 games. Otherwise, TSM are just going to take home another finals, and they are looking so strong right now. And I will echo what you said earlier, one of the best teams right now, if not the best in North America, just going on standings.
Well, they've definitely been a little bit more of the shining hope.
Oh, they have indeed, and Best Chuck is going to jump straight on Araki Zoro. Versus Judgment is going to get channeled, however, just gets blocked momentarily there, and Vonsi is going to be able to trade out that kill. However, Xenotech doing so much work, actually gets dragged over the wall. Vonsi is on top of Rex now, just separating the team, and Xenotech just comes up massive there alongside Rek, and he's going to be able to finish up Vonsi. That forced accord was perfectly timed from Rex, separating them, so Xenotech could cut them down one by one.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the big gem of that fight right there. That just splitting them up, allowing Xenotech basically this quality time with Flash X at that point. That was the decider. Couldn't get the heals on top of Vonsi. Vonsi trying to jump just back across the wall, just to keep that carry, to keep that Lyra, the Lyra alive. It just didn't happen, man.
Well, ouch, is all I can say.
That's why you don't get close to Araki. Araki has that crystal, that path. It's basically like the offensive part of it is done. 10 minutes in, he can actually tank up from here, go into a 3rd item after that. At least that's how I would expect it to go. And a decent gold payout to add on top of that here as well. Best Chuck just wasn't prepared.
No, not at all. And with that unpreparedness, he does end up going down as well, trading over the 5th kill. I was going to say 2nd, but it's 5th. 5th now. I'm even keeping track of these. They're coming out so thick and fast. Sentry is going to get defeated as well. Goes down. That will be another mark in Gankstars' books. They are very much firmly in the lead now. 4K advantage. 5-1 on the scoreboard as well in terms of kills. My goodness, they are definitely stepping up to the plate as TSM. They're kind of backing off a little by the wayside here, and it does look like they're getting in a little bit of a scuffle again. Beshakane is going to get out of there, but big force to call comes through from Rex, wrecking the entire opposition of TSM. The passage is going to get followed through. Flash X is on the run. Araki Zoro chasing him, but Xenotech is going to be able to take out Beshakane, and now TSM are on the run, as they do manage to get out alive, but Beshakane is going to be the sacrificial lamb. Those turrets are going to be long left for the world as, wow, Gangstars really pushing TSM to the limit now.
A lot of people saying, the Black Feather into the Lyra, just not going to be so good. But so far, it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem here for Xeno. He has really been on top of Best Chuck. 0-3 right now for the laner of TSM, but Xeno's 4-0. He is absolutely on fire. Now, he could still get shut down. We don't have an Atlas on the side here of TSM. That was one of the big things that we saw previously. If you don't get an Atlas on top of some of these weapon carries, well, you're going to have a bad time. Flash X is in the midst of kind of figuring that part out. So 5,000 gold between them. Flash X, you got the cash? I think he's got the cash. I think this is going to be an Atlas right here.
He's staying in base, so I guess he will be. Yeah, Atlas, yeah, comes out. So yeah, it's definitely going to be needed, and definitely is going to help the lineup of TSM, because they're in dire straits right now. That's going to be one turret even, obviously, over 2 Gankstars. With that, they are really playing on the back foot, and I want to see Gankstars can push them all the way here, because TSM, they are a formidable foe in these best of 3 series. They really just can pull out their all, and we saw almost what could happen in the last couple of games with TSM. They really can just sometimes just pull it back out of nowhere and pull out with the W, but if that's the case in this game. Gangstars, they're looking pretty good right now, and my all bet is on Rector. This guy has just been absolutely amazing with the forced accords.
Yeah, one of the top captains we have on this side of the road, absolutely.
Well, another engage is going to come through. Passage actually just sends him straight all into the verse. Doesn't actually get blocked, so that's a lot of damage, and there we go. Iraqi Zoro just pumping out this damage, picks up a double kill, and now Flash X is going to have to run away here as the Intik is going to chase him up. Flash X is going to go down probably and potentially underneath his tower. Doesn't really use the healing all too effectively. Forced to call, brings him further towards Wrecked. He ends up picking up the kill for himself, and that's going to be an ace. Gangstars picking up this game, and TSM just falling by the wayside.
So I'm just going to take a moment and say that I really wanted to see Vonsi on the Jewel. I have nothing against Best Chuck, but I think it's just a better tool for Vonsi. He's been a no factor so far on this Fortress.
He really hasn't, and like I mentioned before, he's just been such a carry on the Koshka, but here he goes down yet again, and this is just looking disaster for TSM. They're looking for these engages, but just falling every single time. Flash X wasn't even in that fight at that current point.
No,
that's why I was a bit hesitant to kind of start that fight off, but there we go. Gangstars just picking up those 2 kills and walking away with it. And they got 2 turrets. TSM just looking in shambles at the moment.
Yeah, TSM really just kind of putting a lot of eggs in that basket. Said, oh, Xeno's still here. They have a lot of cooldowns down. Let's just go blow him up. Didn't work. Not at all. We actually have that tier 2 shield here for Xeno, as we are going to pick up the last gold miner of the match. The Kraken coming up online. That's the breaking point coming through. Did actually tank up into the Atlas before the breaking, but if you thought that it was hard to take down Xeno before, well, it just got lots harder now.
Yeah, definitely, and Flash X is going to get jumped on by the whole of Gangstars. They're going to gank him, they're going to get the kill. Von C is in the midst of it all as well. Xenotech's doing so much damage. That breaking point buy for him really working out. The best checking an A. He's almost going to take out Araki. He actually ends up taking him out eventually, but Xenotech, obviously, look at his HP bar. He's full of it, and Rex will be the next guy to survive that fight. And that was going to be it. Ace comes through. I just can't believe what's happening right now. I'm going to be honest with you. Gangstars really coming up to this fight and just taking it home.
Well, infusions also play a little bit more of a role in these fights. You can see him taking away here. You know, Iraqi and Xeno still going strong with theirs. Now, either Best Chuck and Vonsi had him and they kind of timed out during the fight, or they timed out since they died, or they just simply didn't have him. But let's just go with the fact that if they don't have those this stage in the game and Xenotech starting to run away with you, you know he's going to be infused up. You have to spend the gold to match it. And unfortunately, again, like Vonsi 1 and 4. What happened to the all-star jungler? What happened to all that pressure? Koshka's getting taken away from him, and all of a sudden he just goes 1-4.
Yeah, it does seem completely the opposite of what he's shown us in the last few games. Vonsi really not just pulling his weight here, and unfortunately 1-4, but Best Check and Ace 1-6 as well. 14 and 2 is on the scoreboard, and I think TSM maybe, you know, looking to this next game now, because there's only 2 turrets in between Gangstars and actually just pulling out the victory here, and it will tie the series up 1-1 as well, and that's going to be a big win for them, because with that they could actually just take TSM out of this, and they could win the finals where they did fall short last week.
And this will actually be the second loss recorded, this split for TSM. They've only lost out 1 other matchup to date.
Well, this might just be the design invite. Vonsi's in the back line there. They're both on Iraqi Zora, but he's staying alive somehow, and they've just completely diverted their attention because Best Chuck is just going to go down. Xenotech just completely soloing this guy out. Flash X and Vonsi under the turrets, and they will fall as well eventually. My goodness, Gangstars, they're coming back. They're coming back with a vengeance. That Kraken survives the entire fight as well. Bane Crystal falls. Gangstars taking this to a game 3.
All right. Game 3 is going to be up on the menu. My secret hope